I'm going to start the year off again with a few organizational projects. And I've got an old cabinet here that was in my basement. I'm going to dress it up a little bit with some molding at the top and the bottom, and then hang it on the wall over here. And I'm hanging this cabinet first. This is sort of the first stage of this week's project, to make a home for all of the little things that I have on the flat surface of this chest of drawers over here. Basically, I want to get all the stuff out of the way and make some room to work, because the next step is to add a face frame to this fan over here. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. I've got this old fan on the wall, and this works. I used to use it when I welded out here, but I don't use it anymore. But one day I may, so I'm basically just storing it here. And the plan is to maybe add a cabinet to the top, add a face frame to the box, and then build doors for it. Once that's done, I want to add a shelf from this side of the fan to the plywood bin to make a home for shorter pieces of plywood, basically on the bottom and the top, and then maybe do the same thing over here. So let's go ahead, clean this cabinet up or dress it up a little bit, hang it on the wall, get rid of some of this stuff, and then I can move on to this project. I'm using a few random pieces of molding for this project, and this piece of molding came from a job site, and I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but I'm going to attach this piece of molding to the top of the cabinet first, and then add this piece of 3/4 inch quarter round to the bottom to make something that resembles a small crown molding. For the bottom of the cabinet, I'm using a base cap molding. I attached a cleat to the wall, located the studs, and started some screws to hang the cabinet. The cleat is on the wall to hold the weight of the cabinet, and hopefully it will be easy to hang this cabinet by myself. It's pretty heavy because it's made out of all 3/4 inch birch plywood. The back is Lawan, but it's 1/2 inch plywood, so it's a pretty heavy cabinet. I made sure to have my screw gun in reach. Often I'll put something up on a wall and then I can't get the screw gun, and then I have to start over. So here goes. Might have been a good idea to take the doors off. Okay, that looks pretty good. And with one screw attached to the wall, the cabinet's already pretty strong. Okay, well, if you were wondering why didn't I paint the cabinet and take the doors off before I hung it, I don't know why. I really don't have a good answer for that. I should have taken the doors off, painted the cabinet, and then hung it, but what can I say? So anyway, the door handles are cherry. They're 5 inches long, and they've got a 5-degree angle cut on the outside edge of each handle. And this is something I've been doing for all the cabinets that I've been building for the shop or repurposing in the shop here. And it's just a motif that I plan on carrying around to every cabinet eventually. I've already cleaned up the area over here. I've got most of the stuff in this cabinet now, and I'm ready to get working on the fan project. I decided to take advantage of the space above the fan, and I built another cabinet. This is built out of 1/2-inch plywood, and this is a piece of plywood that I had in the shop. It had finish on one side, so I used the finished side of the plywood on the inside. I didn't put a back on this cabinet. I think it's fine the way it is. The wall will serve as the back. I'll attach this box to the fan box, and then because this piece of plywood, this side looks, it just doesn't look very nice, I'm going to skin this side of the cabinet with a piece of 1/2-inch MDF because you'll see it a lot. This side of the cabinet you really won't see it. It's going to serve as the other side for the plywood bin, so I'll leave it alone. Once I skin this side of the cabinet, I'll start to work on the face frame. I've cut the MDF to length and width and pre-drilled and countersunk holes. And for the most part, I'm screwing everything together without glue with the idea that if I want to take everything apart, it will be easy to just unscrew everything and I'll be able to reuse the material. I'm using a piece of scrap wood to beef up this piece of 1/2-inch plywood at the top here to give me a larger nailing surface for the top rail. I'm making all of the stiles and rails at the same width, so the next step is to cut a few pieces of poplar at 1.5 inches. I'll attach the stiles to the cabinet first, and for this I will use a little bit of glue because I want some extra strength to support the hinges and the door. Now there are a lot of different ways to make a face frame, and for the most part you'll build your face frame first, maybe using a Craig jig or a mortise and tenon, but in this case I'm simply nailing through the stiles and rails into the cabinet. Keeping the rail flush with the bottom of the cabinet. I've got one coat of an acrylic polyurethane on this cabinet, the side and the face frame, and I'm moving on to the plywood bin on the side over here. And I started by attaching a piece of 1/2-inch MDF to the existing framing of the old plywood bin. And then I'm going to add a shelf. And I don't want this shelf to stick out in the room like this, so I'm going to cut from the point of the face frame to the point of the plywood bin. And I'll make this cut using a jig for my circular saw. I'll get started by marking lines for the cut. I'll make a straight cut first to accommodate for the 1/2-inch MDF. And next I'll use the jig to connect the two marks. Once I finished making all of the parts yesterday, I painted everything with one coat of an acrylic polyurethane. And I like an acrylic polyurethane for shop cabinets or cabinet interiors. I really wouldn't use it on a piece of fine furniture. I just feel like it doesn't pop the grain like an oil-based finish does. This is a piece of Baltic birch plywood. And if you didn't know, this Baltic birch plywood is sold in 5 by 5 foot sheets. And it's a special order, so if you want to buy Baltic birch plywood, you'll have to call your lumberyard or your supplier generally a week in advance. And I used to use this as a temporary tabletop for stretching canvas, so it already has finish on it, and I'm going to sacrifice it today and use it to make the doors. Okay, well, I'm really pretty happy with this. I feel like the majority of the shop is really starting to get organized. I still have that problem area over there. Probably not next week. I might wait a little while to do another organizational project. If you have any questions on this project, leave them in the comments. I'll do a recap video on Tuesday. I'll answer any questions and basically just go through the build. And if I have anything else I think is worth mentioning, I'll talk about that. I pretty much do that every Tuesday. A build on Friday and a follow-up on Tuesdays. A couple new things. You know, it's funny, I just got the new iMovie. My computer updated, or I did it kind of on accident. And it's one of those things where, in the beginning, it's pretty tough to get used to something new. But now I'm getting the hang of it. So, you can tell me what you think of this video. The editing is maybe a little bit different. I am trying to make my own music for my videos now. I'm not a very good guitar player. I know maybe 6 chords and a couple of power chords. But another one of my, I would say, not a resolution, goals, reasonable goals, is to learn how to use GarageBand. It's the Apple program, GarageBand, and hopefully make all the scores for my videos. It shouldn't be that difficult because it's just a couple of 15-second, maybe a minute and a half songs just to play underneath some of the times when I'm cutting things with the saw or something. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If this is the first time you visited my channel, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.